Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Caregiver Coffee Chat podcast. I am so excited about my guest that I have on the podcast today. Her name is Heidy De La Cruz. She is a mom, an ambitious mom that is also trying to find a healthy balance between motherhood and entrepreneurship. And I'm just really excited to have her on because she is a spiritually sound person like myself. And I just really bonded with her story about just finding that balance of dealing with small kiddos, trying to build the business, and also being in alignment too with our message that we feel called to share with our businesses, but from a spiritual standpoint. So, Heidi, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Thank you, Melissa, for having me today. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. So, could you tell us a little bit about your business and some of your struggles with being a mompreneur, as it were?
Yeah, thank you so much. So I have a few projects going on, but my business is I like to help women with their podcast needs, podcast management, or writing needs. As a business owners, a lot of people have websites and blog posts and things like that. So if they're needing somebody to come in and write those for them and things like that, like I help them with that. And I have my own podcast called The American Dream in the Eyes of Immigrants. And then I have my poetry book that I published in July, have an Etsy shop, and yes, and I write articles on Medium, and I have my own blog post. So a lot of different things going on.
You are doing it all. And I love though too, just listening you rattle off all those answers, the variety of creative outlets that you're doing. So
Yeah.
you have your hand in sharing about your ethnicity and your journey of how your family came to the States, and then
Hmm.
your just creative writing with helping other business owners be successful in their scope of practice, and then
Yeah.
also just being creative. Like when you said poetry, I mean that I tried reading poetry and reading class when I was in school, and it just did not speak to me. I'm sorry, no offense, but you know
None
what I mean?
taken.
I just think it's
Yeah.
so interesting that you have, with your online presence, such a variety of hats that you wear.
Thank
So the
you.
next question I have for that though is, how in the name of Mike do you balance all of those while still being a mom? I know you have a small child too. So how do you find
Yeah.
the balance with doing those different businesses? Because I know those need different
Hmm.
focuses,
Yeah.
at a
Yeah.
time and for in and of itself. And then at the same time, you're being a mom.
Yeah,
How do you do that?
so I have my two kiddos. I have my daughter who's 9, and I have my baby who's going to be 1 this month, which is so exciting. But I also have my husband. He helps out a lot and he supports me a lot in all of my projects and everything. So I'm able to balance it a lot with his help. This year has been the year of creative outlet. So this year's when I started the podcast. Everything started this year, but the business podcast, right, publishing the poetry book, all that took place this year. I've been a writer for years though, but I did get to the point of burnout. Like it was just like a lot of going. I thought I was resting enough, but apparently I was not. So I did get to the point where I got burnt out, just to the point where I was like, man, like this is a lot going on. I not having the energy for it all, and just really like, why am I doing this kind of thing? And so I thought that I was going into another depressive episode. So I told my husband, I was like, okay, I'm doing all different things to try to lift up my mood and make me feel better, but they're not working. So I think it's time to start therapy. So I started therapy again, and she explained to me that it sounded like I was burnt out, which I had not dealt with before, to be completely honest. She was like, "It sounds like you're burnt out, because a lot of the symptoms of burnout are the same as depression," which I had not known. So I actually ended up, sharing that on my Instagram just to try to help and bring awareness to other people, to other moms who are entrepreneurs, or other moms who may be, dealing with the same thing. And I actually had a friend of mine reach out to me and was like, "Oh, I'm about to write about my experience with burnout on my podcast." So it's funny that you just shared your story when I'm kind of going through the same thing. So we kind of like connected on that sense. Um, but yeah, so I had to like, take a step back and rearrange my schedule, honestly. That's how I was able to cope with the burnout, and really how I'm able to now find a good balance to do everything. Just make sure that, my schedule is balanced out, and spending, this amount of time for this project or this amount of time for that project. I also, only publish 2 episodes per month on my podcast, just because that gives me enough time to record the podcast, edit, do the show notes, everything that goes on behind the scenes for the podcast. That gives me enough time, just because I have, everything going on with my work and kids and everything and family. So that's what really works for me. Same thing with my blog. I'll publish a post every other Monday. Again, that gives me time to write, edit, add any links that I need to do, and images and things like that. So just making sure that I have the schedule set out for what works for me, and my family. It also helps that, I work from home. So it's like I have my day job in the morning, and then in the afternoon, if I have a project, then I'll be working on the project, get dinner started, or sometimes, my husband will cook dinner and things like that to help out and balance out. So just making sure that everything has, its time that it's needed. But if it's one day that I can't do it, then, we have tomorrow.
Absolutely. And I love that you touched on burnout and how it is similar to anxiety and depressive symptoms,
Mhm,
because postpartum depression is real. And also, but
mhm.
depression and anxiety disorders are also real too. And they're so similar. And so I love that you shared your story to inspire other people. And that's the whole point with us being influencers, guys, is that we have chosen to share our story to help somebody who's just at that starting point. I'm 2 years
Yeah.
in, 2.5, 3 years into my caregiving journey, and man, it has taken me a long time to get where I'm at as well. I had burnout as well. I burned out in 2020 really hard. And then I was sick chronically with an undiagnosed chronic illness of IBS until December of 2021. So it was a rough year.
Yeah.
So being sure that you're taking care of yourself in all areas, it's like a car.
Yeah.
You can't have flat tires. So physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual self-care are pivotal, guys, to being able to find a healthy balance in whatever multiple hats that you're navigating.
Yeah.
For us, Heidi and I are choosing to be mompreneurs, but then also we're pursuing our own creative outlets alongside of that, outside of work too. Like I still like to
Mhm.
knit, and I still like to be a mom, and I'm also a caregiver, and Heidi's doing her own things as well. So it's critical to be able to find that healthy balance by taking care of yourself and prioritizing that time. And your schedule is a form of self-care. Okay. I know it seems cliche, but having a way to decrease your stress by knowing what's coming down the pipeline. For me, it's Google
Yes.
Calendar. I have to have an alert a day, 24 hours advance of what's coming up next. So, like, for example, this podcast episode we're recording right now, guys, I had an alert yesterday.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I need to know 24 hours in advance. Now, for some people, that might be stressful, but for me, it just helps me know what's coming up. So I'm not
Yeah.
forgetting anything. And having multiple reminders too might be a form of self care for it to decrease the mental capacity by
Yeah.
having it written down on a calendar or a planner, or leveraging a digital resource like Google Calendar, but also too being efficient with your time. So, and prioritizing. So, like for me, office hours are when I can work in the morning. I don't necessarily work too much in the afternoon. Today's the
Mm.
exception because my husband's home and he can help out a little bit. But otherwise, I'm pretty much just trying to keep my office hours with the cutoff time at 11 a.m. my time. And then I'm done for the day and I'm in mom mode and doing all my other tasks for the day. With that being said, you need to figure out what works for you.
Mhm.
Okay. You're in a unique situation, guys. You're dealing with your own struggles with your spouse's chronic illness, or if you are choosing to be an ambitious mompreneur like we are, you have to manage your time. And especially, I don't know how Heidi does it since she's doing multiple projects. I'm just doing the cooking practice. I'm not doing anything else, guys. I don't know how Heidi finds the time to do all those hats, right? And I do blog posts too, and emails and social media. And I'm trying to keep up with all of that and my podcast as well, obviously, but you have to prioritize what is most important to you. And also, I love what my business coach said about this recently. You have to prioritize what's important to you in the season that you're in. It might
Yes.
mean that if you have some ambitious projects that you want to work on, it might just be too much in the season that you're in. You might need to pull back and go, okay, realistically, I can't pull that off right now. So I
Yep.
need to look at putting that back to Q1, Q2, Q3, something like that for next year. And just really pulling back for right now as I'm going into the new year. That could be you, and that is fine. So I would, and I'd much rather, I think Heidi would agree with me. I think we'd rather you do that than put yourself in a situation where you're going to be in chronic burnout. And then you can't show up at all as the mom
Yeah.
that you want to be, or the mompreneur that you want to be, or the influencer that you want to be, because you are talented and you have unique gifts and strengths, but it's not going to matter at all if you don't take care of yourself.
Yes, yes. And you're right, like seasons change. And you have to see what's, like you said, you have to see what's priority in the season that you're in now, and adjust and change a little bit. I love how you pointed out the Google Calendar, because I'm the same way. Like I need to know my day, and I check it the day before. So like you said, like I checked yesterday to see what I was doing today. And sure enough, it's like, oh yeah, I have a podcast that I'm going to be a guest on. And I also limit how many episodes I do. So for example, since I have one today, I will only do one a day. So it's either I'm a guest on the podcast or I'm bringing a guest on mine. I don't do back to back. I did it in the beginning and it was just too much. Like I could literally feel like my energy was draining at the end of the day, and then I was like, okay, scale back a little bit, do just one per day. So with the Google Calendar, like I have everything color coordinated, because I have my bills on there, so I know what bills are coming. So I have a specific color for podcasts, I have a specific color for like meetings, a specific color for appointments and things like that, just to keep myself organized and making sure that my day is balanced. And also, we gotta schedule in rest, you guys, whether it is in the morning, in the afternoon, at night, or whatever, whenever you can put that in, put it in, because we need rest. We are both believers, so we know that God rested, we know Jesus rested, and our body needs rest in order to produce, to continue to be productive. um because then again, you'll go into the burnout and then you're not going to be able to do nothing. Your body will legit like shut down on you. Like if you don't give your body a rest, your body will rest. It would just shut down completely on you, and you don't want to get to that point. So definitely scheduling rest time for you, self-care, making sure that you're taking care of, like you said, spiritually, mentally, physical. Just because we can't pour from an empty cup. Like if we're not taking care of ourselves and making sure that ourselves are filled, we won't be able to care for our husbands, to care for our kids, to care for our parents, and things like that. So self-care and rest is definitely important.
Right. And that just segues so perfectly into this next question is what are your three best tips for finding a healthy balance as a mom? And especially if you're choosing to be an ambitious mom, because I think there's this. I was actually talking with my life coach about this one. I have two Christian life coaches and then my business coach, but my Christian life coaches, I'm doing a program with them right now, which is an intensive for the holiday season and the busyness that comes around with that. And it was really thought provoking for me this morning, where the lesson was focusing on your why and your purpose, and even just hunkering down into holiday traditions. Why do you do them? Are they with an
Mm,
intentional purpose, or are they just a so-called tradition and just draining you? And is it something you definitely don't need on your plate with everything else that you have going on? So, with being an ambitious Christian mom, I want to go
mhm.
there. Um, what are your three tips for being intentional with finding that balance with three tips?
Honestly, being in the word, remembering your why, helps me a lot with being intentional. Also, like I mentioned, the organizing of your day, just making sure that you are not doing too much. Because again, like I did that this year, I just kept adding to my plate, and I was like, oh, I got this, I can do this. Oh, I can do this too. Before starting any big projects, pray. Pray is like, is this what God wants me to do right now? And you will get the answer. And the third one is self-care. Like I mentioned before, just the self-care is just so, so, so important. Um, because we don't want to drain our bodies. We have to take care of our bodies. We are a temple and we are made in the image of God, and we got to make sure that we are, being careful with ourselves, that we're taking care of ourselves, because if we don't do it, like no one else is gonna, take care of ourselves like we take care of ourselves. So yeah, those would be the three tips I have.
I love that. And this, when I want to focus on being in the word, because let's face it, we have
Yeah.
a hard time with finding time for everything. I
Yes.
know for me, I know for me, one thing I'm really learning as I'm getting older is I definitely am more of a morning person. I was not so much when
Yeah.
I was younger. I like to be the night owl, but man, raising a family and now running a business, it's like, dang, I'm done at 9 o'clock. My brain's starting to go, "Meow."
Yeah, you're
I'm
shut
starting to,
off.
I'm shutting off for the night. So, and then by 10:30 and 11 o'clock, somewhere in there, I'm in bed. So, and your girl is down for the count. So but still it's important to get that intentional time with the Lord. So for me, what I've been doing is I wake up every day between 4 and 6 a.m. My limit is 6 o'clock. My alarm will go off and wake me up if I happen to sleep in until 6 o'clock. But your girl's up and I am doing first and foremost, I'm doing that time with the Lord because that's when I'm freshest. And
Yeah.
I want to make him the center for everything I
Yeah.
say and do. And if I am going
Yes.
to do that, he has to become first. And
Hmm.
then I get into the inner work, like some journaling that I do with my business coach is doing because she's a life coach too. So the inner work is good. I'm not saying that's and I just want to clue people in. If you're not spiritually sound, there's other types of spirituality and inner work that are important too. But I will say that taking that time, whatever time of day works for you, whether it's after you put the kids to bed or first thing in the morning, if you get up early, like what we do to get our stuff done, then do it because that's
Yeah.
is what's gonna like what Heidi said, it's what's gonna keep your cup full. You can't fill from
Yes.
an empty cup, or like the
Mhm.
analogy that my Christian life coaches use. You can't drive your car with a flat tire. It's unsafe and it will end up in an accident. And I don't want you guys to have an accident where you're dealing with an underlying chronic illness that goes undiagnosed for you, like what happened to me, or some other sort of health problem that really impacts you negatively with how you show up as a mom, as a mompreneur, and just an ambitious woman of God. So it really all ties in together, whether we like it or not.
Yep.
So with that said, where can we find more of Heidi De La Cruz? Because you are just amazing. And since you have so many creative outlets, I am sure there are some people out there that, because I'm thinking too, like with my moms who are listening, even if they're not wanting to be a mompreneur like we are, like your
Mhm.
poetry and things like that, to have a
Mhm.
creative outlet to vent. Because that's the interesting thing for me. My work has become my creative outlet to give me a break and be
Mm.
inspiring amidst all the chaos I'm dealing with personally. But
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
me. So it may not be, so it may obviously, I understand it's not the right fit for everybody to
Yeah.
become an entrepreneur. So I'm really excited that maybe people could check out your poetry or some other things that could help
Yeah.
you, or even just listen to your podcast for inspiration too, as another, creative outlet to get a break from
Yeah.
the stress of caregiving, motherhood, or what other, for those of you listening, whatever hard situation you might be facing right now. So where can we
Yeah.
find more of our girl?
So I hang out on Instagram. It is my name, Heidy, period, De La Cruz, so DELACRUZ 13. I hang out on Instagram. And if you are, like you said, if you're not looking to be an entrepreneur, but you're looking for a creative outlet, whether that is writing, whether that is a podcast, whether that is, just a YouTube channel, whatever it is, talk to me. Let's set up a talk, a chat to see how it is that we can best provide that a creative outlet. Not everybody will be able to use the same thing, but we can figure that out together. We can have a chat and see what is that you're trying to put out there. Are you trying to, put your voice out there? Are you trying to share your story? And then what would be the best way to share that story? So I hang out on Instagram. On the link in my bio on Instagram has my links to everything, to my podcast, my journals, my notebooks, my poetry book, my podcast. So everything is there right on Instagram. And yeah, that's where I hang out. So if anybody is looking, for that creative outlet or looking to start a business, anything like that, hit your girl up. We can get a talk going and see how we can help you.
I love that. I love that. So thank you so much for that. I really want, because that's the thing. When I started my journey, we were shut down because of the pandemic. And I
Yeah.
didn't even know, your girl did not even know how to get started with this journey. So I was like, what do I do? And I've had to figure it out. So with
Yeah.
the Caregiver Coffee Chat podcast, guys, I really want to use this as a place where, yes, you get to know your coach and mentor a little bit better, but more importantly, I give you guys resources because even though I'm your coach and I'm your mentor, guys, I still understand that you guys all learn and grow and need different types of outlets and resources to
Yeah.
make it through your journey. And I
Yep.
want this to be a melting pot with these amazing guests that I have for this season and season two. Season two is coming, guys. That has some amazing resources for you. So before we end this intentional conversation, Heidi, what is something I've been having so much fun with this week questions. So what is something that we have talked about either in our conversation or maybe something that has just really continued to resonate with you throughout your motherhood and entrepreneurial journey that continues to just give you just that leg up when you're having those rough moments. We know they come with
Yeah.
being a mom or with being a
Yeah.
caregiver or with even with we're always trying to move that bottom line, but sometimes things just don't go as well,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
share your knowledge
Um
with us here. Come on.
Honestly, what keeps me going is my family and my kids. Like I want my especially my daughter, I want her to see me as more than just her mom. I want her to see me as an individual who has goals, who has dreams, and I want her to see me pursue those goals and dreams so she knows that, she can do whatever she sets her minds to. Because I know this is a whole different topic, but once you become a mother, a lot of women do lose their identity to motherhood. And I am very intentional on not being I'm just a mom. It's like, no, I'm more than a mom. I'm Heidi De La Cruz, like I am more than just a mom. So definitely my kids are my biggest motivator and what keeps me going, especially in those times where I don't, like some days we just have those days where we like don't want to do anything, but it's like, I look at my kids and it's like I'm doing it for them. And then obviously, as a believer, God is always the biggest motivator. Like everything, like you said, everything that I do, I put him in the center of it. So it's like just God and my kids. They are, my final answer, God and my kids.
And I like that. I was listening to a worship service this week, and I like what one of the worship pastors on that worship service was talking about. He said, God's not interested in being first. I mean, yes, he wants, but if we make him the center, think of it like a pie. If we make him the center of that pie, he touches our marriages,
Mm,
our parental journey, our
yes.
entrepreneur and ambitious goals. If we make him the center, then he will be the center of everything. He'll be the center of our entrepreneur journeys. He'll be the center of our daily lives. He'll be the center of our marriages. He'll be the center of our journeys as parents. So it's really about making him the center in all that we say and all that we do.
Yeah.
And I love too that I was actually the verse, from Proverbs 16:3, commit your ways to the Lord and he will direct your paths. And guys, I know it's tough. I know there's days where you just really literally want to pull your hair out.
Yeah.
Whether you're
Yes.
an entrepreneur like we're choosing to be, or you're just a mom, or you're dealing with being a caregiver, those hard days come. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
not trying to sugarcoat that this stuff is easy. It's
Yeah.
not. Okay. But I want you to know that you're not alone. Okay. If you are needing a creative outlet and you're needing a mental break and you're needing a way to figure out how to get some of that out, hit our girl Heidi up. She can work with you on that.
Thank
If you're
you.
needing somebody to just come alongside and just give you a safe place to vent and cry and heal and just try to get a system down for navigating this unexpected role of being a stay-at-home mom and a spousal caregiver under the age of 65, your girl's got you. So definitely check out the description box below if you're watching this on Spotify, on Anchor, or on YouTube, or my YouTube channel. Definitely hit us up. We want to help you. That's why we are here, and that's why we choose to be a voice for you guys, so you guys get the advocacy and the support and the help you need. So definitely check out Heidi's Instagram. I will include that below. If you are interested in having a one-on-one coaching call with me, support call with me, I would love to chat with you. There's a free support call link below. And if you have any further questions, Heidi and I both hang out on Instagram. So Heidi, shout out your handle one more time for those listening.
Yes. It's my name, Heidy, period, DELACRUZ 13.
Okay. And then you can find me, your mom mentor and caregiver coach, on Instagram at Melissa Miller 2011. So just hit us up. We'll be happy to help you and we want to
Yes.
help you succeed. So thank you so much for listening or watching, and be sure to like, subscribe, and follow so you can be notified when another episode of the Caregiver Coffee Chat podcast is posted. And thank you again to my special guest, Heidy De La Cruz, for sharing her wisdom with us. And we both encourage you to just take it one day at a time and speak life back into your life as a busy mom or mompreneur, or even just an ambitious Christian mom with ambitious goals. Take care, guys.